إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم ربنا لك التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا هو وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد إن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, first and foremost, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us this beautiful deen of Islam, for granting us the privilege to be counted on the day of judgment from among the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for continuing to bless us, to shower His mercies upon us in the form of good health, in the form of money, in the form of obedient children, in the form of family that gives us happiness when we go back home, in the form of properties that we utilize to get our comforts from. We cannot thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who continues to shower His blessings upon us in spite of our many omissions or commission errors. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us steadfast in His deen, to keep us in a state of Iman, and to take us when He has to take us back to Him upon La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. In the progress of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from Adam alayhi salam continued to send prophets and guidance to the people who time after time continue to stray. And in that chain comes the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And this is the holy month of Dhul Hijjah. When people stormed to the house that Ibrahim alayhi salam built with his son Ismail alayhi salam. I know that around the globe people eagerly avoid this. This is called the big Eid. And the moment we think of the big Eid, our minds go back to good food, to sacrificing cows and camels and goats and sheep and what we will make out of them. And then the shaitan tracks us back into the dunya, to the bargaining for the animals. Where is the best place to go and buy them from? Where can I save money? Where can I get 2 goats for the same price? Is it easy for me to participate in a cow share? And so forth. So man is so calculative when it comes to the dunya. And all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in his kitab is the best among you in the eyes of Allah are those who have the utmost taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. In the employment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the opportunity that Allah provides us on the face of the dunya to move the needle of the deen forward, to practice it sincerely and with total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of creations, and bring in us the truthfulness, to be the embodiment of that truthfulness that gave Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the title of Al-Amin as-Siddiq. And it starts from Ibrahim alayhi salam. And before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the honor of building the first house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Kaaba in Makkah, he tested him and tested him and tested him. And every time that Allah tested him, he came full 100%, A plus grade in every test that Allah brought upon us. How was that? Because of one simple thought that ruled Ibrahim alayhi salam's mind, that Allah is supreme and that we are the servants of Allah and we have to submit. That was the only guideline that drove his thinking as a young man, as a young boy, talking to his father. When Allah gave him the hidayah about Tawheed, talking to his father, trying to convince him that there is only one Mahmoud worthy of worship. And then to talk to the whole class community of people to the extent that his king of his time, Nimrod, that Ibrahim alayhi salam had to confront, who chose to throw him in the fire, trials of nature that we cannot even imagine. Allah talks about the fire as an azab, the azab of the qabr, the azab of the akhirah. And Allah will throw the disbelievers, those who purposely, who knowingly, who adamantly denied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the concept of the fire, fire that burns, the fire that is meant to burn and char and destroy. That is the characteristic of the fire. And here is Ibrahim alayhi salam being thrown into the fire by his king Nimrod. And Allah commands the fire to cool down. Miracle of a nature that we cannot even imagine. And what made Ibrahim alayhi salam so much stubborn and patient in a situation where he was being swung into the fire, and the fire was so huge that nobody could go and put him in the fire. They had to swing him into the fire. And the fire, the tongues of the fire were in the skies, and people could see it from far distance in the town. And people were tasked with collecting firewood for the fire for months on end. And every child in every home was told, "Did you collect fire to God, Ibrahim?" And they collected the fire to make that bonfire. And such a fire that had not been seen in the town, and Allah cooled. And what was it that made Ibrahim alayhi salam so patient in that situation of trial that we cannot even begin to imagine. When Jibreel alayhi salam would come to him and say, "Oh Ibrahim, do you want my help? I can save you from this fire." And he would say, "No, I trust in Allah. If Allah wills, I cannot be harmed. And if Allah were to wish that I should be harmed, nobody can save me, including Jibreel alayhi salam." That is tawakkul on Allah. That is the trust upon Allah. That is the total submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine a father of 90 years being asked to sacrifice a son of 13, 14 years. Unimaginable. Human sacrifice to please God was a custom of those days. That was the reason why the dream came to Ibrahim alayhi salam to sacrifice his son. Because that was the custom to please their gods. People would go and sacrifice the children in front of their gods mostly. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, as the prophet of Allah, knew that it might be true. And the dream came to him thrice. And when he asked his son, can you imagine that conversation of a father asking his son, "Oh son, I saw this dream. What do you think about it?" And the son says, "Go act upon it. If this is the command of Allah, act upon it." That was what the submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant, to act upon the command of Allah. And that is the lesson that we take home from the story of Ibrahim. To act upon the command of Allah. Not to put ourselves in a situation in the dunya where we say, "Sorry, I cannot do it. Sorry, I cannot do it," for the sake of Allah. In the house of Allah, where you have an opportunity to move the needle of the deen forward, and you drop the ball. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means when he says, "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum." The man who quietly comes into the masjid to vacuum the house of Allah, clean the house of Allah, nobody is watching. Except Allah and His angels. The brother who comes to the masjid, opens the masjid and prays, calls the azan, calls the iqamah, and next to rakat, even though there is nobody else in the masjid. That is the salah of the one who fears Allah. He is not looking to his left and right and saying, "There is nobody in the masjid, I'm not praying, I'm going home. I never come back again because when I went last time, I was the only person who prayed." But who did you pray? Is the question. You pray for Allah, and Allah is everywhere, and He is watching. That is the tawakkul of Allah that we have to bring into our lives. That is what the carry story of Ibrahim alayhi salam tells us. It is the submission. When Allah calls him, he submitted. Sami'na wa ta'ana. We hear and we submit. We do not put ourselves in a situation of the dunya so tightly embedded, so caught up, that we do not have time for Jummah. We do not have time for Salah. We do not have time to visit the house of Allah to see whether it exists or not. We don't have time. How can it be, brothers and sisters? How can it be that we call ourselves Muslims? Muslim means one who submits to the will of Allah, which is embodied in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah has given us so much. So much. Each one of us can go back and think 20 years, 15, 20 years of today, where were we? Where are we today? And each moment of our life, Allah has provided the risk for us unasked. You never had to plead on your knees to Allah, "Give me food. Today I'm hungry." It's there in the refrigerator. When you go, more food than you can handle. More rooms in your homes than you sleep in. More cars in the garage than you drive. More money in the bank than you need. More accumulation than you need. And when you and I die and are 4 feet, 6 feet into the ground, all this will be left behind, and Allah will say, "Did I not send a messenger to you? Did He not teach you my kalam? Did He not warn you? Did you not feel scared? Did you think that you will not come back and stand before me? Where is your provision? Where are your awliya now? Where are your supporters? Where are the people who you followed? Where are the people who guided you or misguided you in the dunya? Where are they? Bring them on. And then I will say, Allah, yes, a messenger did come to me, but I did not heed him. I did not think I would ever die. I did not think that I will come back and stand in front of you. I did not think that you will have all my scroll in front of me like this. And it will not miss out anything. It will have every small, big mistake, sin that I committed and flagrantly committed and don't lies upon lies. Just to keep my face in the dunya, just to appear big, just to appear like a righteous person, just to appear like a moneyed person, just to appear like a busy person. All of that go away before Allah. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. If your taqwa is not pure, you may be La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, but you have tainted it. You have tainted it so bad that Allah says you will go to Jahannam. And Umar radiallahu anhu said that just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every time he talks about the kuffar, remember that he also alludes to those who are sitting on the wall, the hypocrites. He's talking about those who lie about the deen to themselves. Zalimul li nafsi, who perform the zulm upon their nafs, flagrantly disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not heeding his commands, hearing but not obeying, not caring to understand, not caring to follow. Brothers and sisters, this deen is a gift to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the mercy of Allah. But remember, the other side of the coin is Jahannam. So each one of us individually will be standing before Allah and accountable for our scroll, and that day nobody will come to protect us except our good deeds. And what we leave behind in the form of our good deeds, in the form of sadaqah jariyah, in the form of the tongue that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me this and give me that, and which lies, which speaks untruth, which is used for cheating, which is used to betray, which is used to get money that is not halal. Allah does not want that. Allah does not want numbers. Allah wants quality, because what Allah gives is quality. Look at anything in the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says you will not find any defect in it. How come? The sun has been there for 5 billion years according to science, and it may last for another 5 billion years according to science, and Allah knows best. There has never been an occasion where you and I have to call a 1-800 number and say, oh, the sun did not rise today, can you help? There is nobody who can help us except Allah. And that is the fear, that is the commitment of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we say, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, it is meant to submit to Allah with your heart and your soul, not with your lip alone. Because if you do with your lip, you may be successful in the dunya, but you are destroying your dunya and also your heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam what is the meaning of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and make us among the truthful servants of Allah. We have to be truthful to our own nafs first. That is what we learn in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Truthful to his own nafs, to the extent that even if he had to sacrifice his son, he would ask his son, this is the dream I saw, and the dreams of the prophets are true, commands of Allah. Why? Because you do not want to be in the wrong even though you are a prophet of Allah. And here we are, humans, walking around on the face of the earth, enjoying all the benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showers upon us day in and day out, and we do not have time for it. And then we expect this and we expect that, and we say our dua is not accepted, I am in trouble, I do not have time. Time is a risk from Allah. If you take care of the other risks that Allah has bestowed upon you sincerely and honestly, then there will be barakah in time, you will not be running around. You will not be. I remember when I recall, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him Jannatul Firdaus. I always used to see him standing outside the masjid on Jummah distributing this flyer and that flyer. And I used to be running from my office to do khutbah in Yemen and run back to the office again. And I asked him, Brother Iqbal, how is it that you have so much time? And he said, when you take care of the work of Allah, Allah will take care of your work. That is a true story, brothers and sisters. This is the truth of life. Otherwise, you will run and run and run like running on a treadmill. You will go nowhere. You will be sweating and perspiring and losing weight, but you will go nowhere. You will be exactly where you are. Probably you will go back, not forward in life, not in the akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. And this is what Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was bestowed with the mercy of Allah to tackle and pass the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what he asked when he and Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam raised the foundations of the Kaaba, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to raise the foundations of Masjid Ar-Rahman tonight. وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلُ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا. Oh Allah, accept this from us. Accept this from us. As a prophet of Allah, he's not saying, oh Allah, I am building this house of Allah, the first one ever, and feel proud about it, feel ego about it. No. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. There is nobody there on the deserts of Saudi Arabia except the father and the son putting together some sand and stone to build the foundation of Kaabatullah. And now you see 1 billion and counting. Subhanallah. That is what happens when the help of Allah comes. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. You will see people enter this deen in crowds. Allah does not need any individual. We need Allah. And all that we strive for in the dunya is for our own nafs, to protect our own selves from the fire of hell, and to get our boarding passes into Jannah by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll conclude with one small story about Ibrahim alayhi salam, why he was called the Khalil of Allah, and what submission meant to him. Once the angel said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, why do you call Ibrahim alayhi salam your friend? The friend of Allah. And Allah said, go to him and mention my name and see how he reacts to it. So the angel went. Ibrahim alayhi salam was in the valley, and there was a shepherd there who was grazing his sheep. And he was reciting the names of Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wal Malikul wal Quddus, Salam, Mu'min, wal Muhaymin, wal Aziz, wal Jabbar, wal Mutakabbir. And Ibrahim alayhi salam heard that, and he went to him. And Ibrahim alayhi salam had the sheep. And he went to that boy and said, can you recite one more time the names of Allah? And he said, I need a reward for reciting it. Maybe he was from the US, right? So nothing for free. You want me to recite again? What will you give me? He said, look, I have this sheep, take half of them. I give you half of them. So he said, okay, good deal. So he took half of them. And then he went again. He knew. He had a bunny here. So he said, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wal Malikul Quddus, Salam, wal Mu'min, wal Muhaymin, wal Aziz, wal Jabbar, wal Mutakabbir. And Ibrahim alayhi salam began to weep. He said, oh, mashallah. Can you recite one more time for me the names of Allah? And he looked at him and he said, what can you give me? He said, I have this rest of the sheep. I give them to you. Take them. So Ibrahim alayhi salam gave him all the sheep that he had. And the man knew. Okay, he went again. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Malikul Quddus, Salam, Mu'min, Muhaymin, Aziz, Jabbar, Mutakabbir. Went on, and Ibrahim alayhi salam went to him and said, brother, I plead you recite it one more time. And he said, look, you have all the sheep is gone. You don't have anything to give me. If I recite, what will you give me now? And Ibrahim alayhi salam said, if you recite, he said, I will become your servant. and I will be the shepherd of this flock of sheep. That will be my wages. And you keep reciting the names of Allah, and I will become your servant in return. And then the shepherd boy, he said, oh, now I understand. He said, I am the angel that Allah sent to test you, to see how much you love. Now I understand why Allah calls you his friend, and why you are called the Khalil of Allah subhanahu. This is Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is the progeny that we see. This is the prophet from whom we have Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the ranks of the prophets. And this is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam's ummah. That's what we are part of. And we have to be proud to be Muslim, and also realize our responsibilities to be Muslim, because nothing is easy, brothers and sisters. But once we put our life on the line for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing is difficult either. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Karim wa alihi wa sahbihi. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhallazina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم ربنا واجعلنا مسلمين لك ومن ذريتنا أمة مسلمة لك وأرنا مناسكنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. The quick reminder that inshallah after Salah, we have a few words of thanks for the members of the communities and introduce to you who is here and probably might be there for outside. So after that, we're going to break ground. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our putting the shovel in the ground today to build our expanded Masjid Ar-Rahman. We will set inshallah and go. And then we have some refreshments and nice cream, don't forget.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله